Hello, welcome back everybody to another episode of Protect Our Families. I got a email from another viewer, and it was in regards to my hidden cam video with the child protection worker in my house. So she's an advocate from Calgary. Also heard about the pieces I've been doing on the Casey case, which have been mentioned in my previous 2 episodes. So I got her on the line right now, so yeah, that's it.
Alright, good.
Okay, now you watched the hidden camera video, and you mentioned that you were saying everything, how you were talking to your husband, and you were mentioning how you would always call what she was about to say next.
Yeah.
Okay, now, why were you able to do that?
Essentially, the reason that I was able to identify what, was going to come next and predict pretty much exactly the scenario and how it was going to play out was because it's common practice. I mean, they get away with saying that it's standard procedure because essentially that's what it is. That's what they do all the time. The types of
it's a trained procedure that they do.
I mean, yeah, coming in and stating that, we have issues. This is what the complaint is. We see that may not be justified, but we now have other concerns. Or, they just take one small concern and blow it out of proportion, and really, it's based on speculation and hearsay. It's not based on any evidence. So they can take one thing and contort it, and if they decide that you should be under a supervision order or a support agreement or any sort of, if you have a safety plan, whatever it is, if they decide that they want you to do that just because they want to have the right to be able to come into your home anytime they want or, whatever, you have to do it. If you don't do it, they will just immediately threaten the apprehension of your child. I mean, the ones that, did it.
So it's pretty much a lose-lose situation is what you're saying.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, you have to do what they say, or you better be a lawyer.
So you're pretty much, you have to be the slave and do what I tell you to do in order to get your child back.
Right, but I mean, it's to a higher, I mean, it's not even just about being a slave to them. This is a system that works for them, because I mean, when they came to my home at one point in time, I had told them that, I'll let them look around my home, I'll do this investigation with them, I'll cooperate, but you can't tell me what to do because, my home is safe, and I'm well aware of, so-and-so whose child you already abducted. So it's even listed in my file here about how, I call child services abductors and child. So my job, essentially, what I do is there are people that come to me for information. I started this because of, my best friend who had these issues. Now, I've had my own issues with child services. And
what made you pursue to become an advocate?
Well, I mean, I had some minor issues that, to me did seem very workable. And I'll get into a little bit of that later. But then I later met a wonderful girl. Oh, she's such a beautiful person. And I met her through a pre-employment program. Basically, I was a single mom, newly out on my own with a child and living with my mother and in a subsidized house, and I wanted to go back to school, but I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I joined this, I was sort of put into it through financial assistance. They had put me into this program, and I met this girl, and, we were talking about our daughters and that they both had matching names, and I asked her, maybe we should get together with the kids one day. And she says, well, I can't really because I don't have my daughter. And I said, well, what do you mean you don't have your daughter? She said, well, she's in foster care. And immediately, I put up this wall and I said, okay, there's, there's got to be something wrong with this girl. I can't, if she's had her child taken away, then that means that there's something wrong with her, you know. And
That's what a lot of people think for some reason, that have no knowledge of the ways of CP or Child Protection Service.
No, I had no idea, because the thing is that when I was in an abusive relationship with my daughter's dad, you know, there was an incident where he had ended up choking me, and it caused, you know, they ended up calling my mom called the police, and the police, you know, said that he had to stay at a friend's house overnight till he sobered up, and basically the child services came by a few days later and told me that I had to leave him within 30 days or I was going to lose my child. And I didn't know what to do. And I sat there and I thought, oh my God, like...
You felt on the spot.
Well, it wasn't just, oh, you're on the spot. Now all of a sudden, you're on the street. You know, you're gonna have no home, no money. What am I supposed to do now that I'm homeless? You're gonna take my kid because I'm homeless, you know. But you've just pretty much made me that way. What am I supposed to do? And so I told the worker, like, are you just gonna leave me so that I'm homeless? Do I have to go to a shelter? Like, what's going on? And she said, well, I'll tell you what. I'll write you a letter to Calgary Housing, and I'll write you a letter to social services to get funding, and we'll get it all worked out. And within 2 weeks, I had a place. And I moved in with my mom. I had my own 3-bedroom apartment that I had to pay $212 a month rent for, and plus utilities. And it was completely set up so that I had enough funding to do that. And then I started going to this pre-employment program. From there, I went to Bow Valley and, you know, did my high school upgrading and became a nurse.
So now you're fully educated.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so when I sat there and looked at, you know, my best friend here, who really wasn't my best friend at the time because I thought there was something wrong with her. Well, I'm sitting there, you know, with her and not understanding what it is about her that these people can find wrong, you know, except other than she's poor. You know, she's in a pre-employment program. She's trying to get a good job. She wants to go back to school. She's like me. And so I start going to some of her visits as a friend, and I saw her with her daughter, and I was thinking, like, but there's nothing wrong with this mother, you know. And she goes, well, she asked me if she could babysit my daughter one day. She said, you know, you can go out, I'll take care of your daughter. And I thought, okay, well, you know, is this questionable, or, you know, am I a good mother if I would choose to do this? And I decided, you know, okay, I'll let her watch her for a night. And my daughter came back telling me all the wonderful things that she had done with her, and, you know, and she was so excited about it. And the next time she saw her, she was so excited to see her. And I really started to learn that this girl was not who they, you know, obviously made her out to look like. So I started seeing all of the things that were said in the visits and seeing what was going on with the, you know, the phone conversations between the worker and her. And it got to a point where it was so messy. There was a worker who was from, I'm not quite sure exactly, but let's just say, like, you know, India or you know, one of those countries around there. And she didn't speak English very well. She was, she could speak English, but it was very broken. You could tell that she didn't have a full fluency. And she would make these comments, you know, that were just sort of out of nowhere. My friend would go and buy these organic, you know, good juices for her daughter when she came to visit.
Yeah.
The worker would go, oh, you know, those are just pure sugar. And we'd sit there and look and read the ingredients to her. This has pure orange juice, pure whatever, and no, you know, added sugar, blah, 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 all the contents to her. And she goes, all those packages just lie, you know. And it would be like, what the hell are you talking about? You know, you're sitting there thinking, are you okay in the head? And this one time, the judge had granted her overnight visits. And she asked me if I wanted to come over and if, you know, I wanted to bring my daughter over and we could have a pizza party and watch movies and crash with the kids in the living room. Yeah, and she had said essentially that Okay, she told the worker, because she had a visit during, so, she said, so we basically said to the worker, okay, well, you know, we're going to order movie or have movies and order pizza, and then she said, well, my sister's coming by. My sister is, it's her birthday the next day, so she's going out that night with her friends to the bar, and she's going to stop by here before she goes, and she's really excited about it. You know, and the worker, or like in-home support worker, went and told her supervisor that apparently we're going to have, you know, we're going to be drinking and throwing this party with the kids at the place. So the visits got canceled. So whether that was a miscommunication because she doesn't speak English properly, or maybe there's something wrong with her hearing, or she did it intentionally. You know, either way, should that woman be working there? Should she have that job?
No.
You know, and that's, you know, those are some of the issues that we have within this system. And that's, like, it's those types of things that, you know, we learn of that are hindering the children who need help, and then, but yet hurting the ones that really don't.
And some of them are even being killed.
Absolutely. There are children all the time being killed in foster care.
That's right.
You can't even look up statistics for it.
No, because they're hidden.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You cannot find a single statistic that is within relatively... I found a few that were basically the soonest, like the last one that I saw was 2004.
Well, I heard somebody talking online, I think it was a couple days ago, about a site being put up specifically where you can list the names of a child, if you're a parent of the child that you've had that's been lost.
Yeah, okay.
And died in foster care, so that we can get those statistics known to the public.
Yeah. Well, see,
which is a very good idea.
That's one of the things that, you know, we should be requesting. Like, the thing is, you can get copies of the foster care guide as far as your requirements. You can find out how much money you get paid to be a foster care for what, like level 1 home, level 2 home, specialized homes, how many children you have, how much money per day each child.
You can get lots of stuff off of the Queen's printer, is what it's called.
The one that I have, I got directly off the Alberta Child and Family Services website.
Oh, really?
So there are certain things that are listed, but if you were to look at how many children died in the past in Canada in general, whether it be from a parent,
it's a high number,
a foster parent, or an accident, car accident, any of those things, you cannot find out the statistical data on how many children a year are killed in Canada.
It's a lot, but we're gonna find that out because once that website is up, I'm gonna find more information about that and I'll let everybody know.
Absolutely, that would be awesome. So, but one of the other things is, you know, the first problem I find is the anonymous tipping system. That one, now, you know, I understand the argument for people to say, well, you know, people won't call in as often for when kids really need it because they're too scared that their names are going to be used. Well, the thing is that you can call in.
Everybody knows that their names are kept so secret from the people.
Well, see, and it depends. Like, the thing is that you can get the exact quote of what was said about you, like I have in my...
Unless you're showing up as a witness in court, then you're not going to know who that person was. Just like I still don't know who made the complaint about me.
Well, I mean, you have your own ideas, and that's all it...
Oh, yeah. Oh,
really,
yeah.
I mean, it's unfortunate that you cannot prosecute somebody for making a false statement. If I had read you the last statement, the last call that was made on me...
I thought there was a charge for that. When someone makes a false statement, isn't there a charge for that?
Not in this case, because it's done on an anonymous system. And that's part of the one that is like probably...
What is Crime Stoppers? Isn't Crime Stoppers an anonymous system?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And Crime Stoppers, but even if you left your name, right, and say that person does get convicted of that crime, you can get a reward if you choose to leave your name. right? And so they can't really apply that rule to child services because every time, I mean, there will be people who wrongfully lose their children and other people get paid for it, right? But at the same time, let's just say you go with this dynamic. You say, call in because you're concerned that your neighbor may be abusing his child. You didn't see anything, but you hear the child screaming all the time. What you do is you would have to say, okay, this is something that we'll investigate, but unless they should have to take that name and number of that person as a contact to say, so if they decide that they have to go and get an apprehension order because they get to the house and they see those kids are bruised up pretty bad and they look pretty awful, then, they shouldn't need that person's name to be used in court to get that apprehension. But if they get there and they say, well, the house was just kind of filthy. The kids didn't look beat up, but the house looked kind of filthy, and we think we need, apprehension. Well, that's when they need to pull in this person, and if their testimony is enough for them to get an apprehension, then so be it. But it better be some pretty damn good, testimony, because there's no other court, system in the world that you can prosecute somebody without solid evidence, other than conjecture, speculation, hearsay.
I think if people make these false accusations, I think charges should be laid. I think there's got to be a law instated.
Because if I were to say that you raped me, and then they found out that that was absolutely not true, but they charged you, or they didn't charge you, they would...
Because isn't that also a defamation of character?
Yes, well, okay, that brings a very good point up, John, because, if you were a social worker and you got a phone call on me, and we're talking really on me, and you got a phone call that said, whatever, we think she's beating her kid. You're going to go back to, that's the screening stage. Here in Alberta, that's what it's called anyway. That's the screening stage where they say, okay, I'm going to look into this a little further before I go and do an investigation at the home. So they go and request any other information from the file. Well, they would pull up my file here, and I'm going to hold it up to the camera so you can get a good look at just how thick that sucker is, and which is about 300 pages. You'd flip through those 300 pages, and you would probably immediately think, I need to do an investigation. There is no way, hands down, that this person should have her children. Even though every single thing in this file was found to be unsubstantiated, and it states that right here. In fact, I will read you a quote that states how many... Okay, give me 1 second. Okay. There are numerous screenings on this family, but breaking them down does not reveal significant issues with this family. Their early reports were due to domestic violence issues, and as they are no longer in this relationship. Then there were several anonymous referrals about supervision issues, none of these were substantiated and may have been malicious in nature. There were 2 screenings about concerns to provide supervision to her daughter. These were also unsubstantiated. If you were just to read that, you would be like, oh, okay, no problem. But if you were just to randomly flip through the pages and look and see what is there, you would go, oh, okay, I think there's a cause for concern. And I don't know if you remember all that stuff I posted there about the risk assessment tool.
Yeah, I got a glimpse at that, yeah.
Okay, now you should probably put a picture of that on this, on this interview, just to show the people exactly what it is.
I'll put it on the website.
What's that?
I'll put it on the website.
On the website, because to show them exactly the numbers and how a person is rated and scored based on family history of abuse, or whether a child is at higher risk of being abused because their parent was child in care, or was the parent ever homeless? That's one of the questions on there. And if you were homeless, that's number 3, which the highest number you can get for risk is 4.
What? Just because you were homeless?
Yes, if you were homeless,
That doesn't mean anything.
that gives you a risk score of 3. So, and the risk scores are based from -1 to 4. And basically, there are certain things that don't have any weight, so they have a 0 score, which is silly, because it just doesn't, why even bother having it on there if it has a 0 score? But there are certain things like...
I can't believe they've actually come up with this type of scoring system. It has no psychological value to it at all.
No, there isn't, and that's the whole thing, is that when I email...
Like, if it did, a psychologist would be using it then. Psychiatrist would be.
Exactly.
But you don't see them using it, and they're professionals. They don't want to use it because it's hogwash. It's bullshit.
I'm just trying to find it here to look at it, because there were so many things on there that I thought were completely irrelevant as far as a person's actual ability to raise their child. You know, they're more like basically categorizing them statistically by what is most likely to happen if their parents were in these situations. So if you were ever homeless, that means that you're probably unstable and you couldn't pay your rent. So, meanwhile, many homeless people are homeless because of social services, either, taking their children from them and causing them to have to pay, for legal bills and losing time off work, and then they stick them in these situations and go, oh, well, you might not be a danger to your child, but you don't have any money to raise your child, so
there's resources. That's what our government does, is they supply us with these kinds of resources in case a parent or families are having troubles like that.
Yep, absolutely. And that,
And yet another part of our government is telling us that, oh, you can't raise your kid. And pretty much acting as if these resources are invisible to them.
Yep, no, well okay, so that's where my advocacy job really takes, its place.
Mm-hmm.
When a family comes to me, they ask me, I don't just get families that are involved in child services. I get families from, my old community that say, I need a winter jacket and a snowsuit for my kid.
Mm-hmm.
I can't afford one. Well, I volunteer at these clothing exchanges where we do a mass exchange for a weekend, and then people can come.
Oh, and then you can hook them up.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know when these types of events are happening, and I help out. I'll go and I'll hand pick a couple of items for people that I know that need them.
That's a nice thing.
A lady that I know of who had a little girl, and she had said, and she has a couple kids, but only I think 2 or 3 of them needed some jackets and stuff, and she said, I can't find anything that I can afford that'll fit these kids. So I went to the clothing exchange. I picked up, 3 huge, wonderful, brand new snowsuits,
Mm-hmm.
and brought them to her, and she just broke down in tears. And I said, it's not a big deal. Like, I do this stuff all the time. And she said, I asked social services for help because she has some issues with social services as well, and they told me that basically if I needed clothes that I should go down to the Salvation Army, and I should be utilizing those resources. But the thing is that she had already tried that, and there wasn't anything to fit her child. And so, if she doesn't send her kid to school in a snowsuit, they're going to call child services and say that she doesn't, take care of her kids.
Mm.
So, it's like, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, and they don't help you. And all...
They don't, but they pretend to.
Well,
they put on the mask like they are.
Yeah, yes, no, and I completely agree. Like, when I see all these people who are coming to me for help, and I'm sitting there helping them, and I'm going, well, if I can do this, and I'm not getting paid for this, if I can do this, why the hell can't they? Why aren't they doing this? Don't they have more resources than I have? Because I have a whack load of resources. I'm telling you, I have a Rolodex, you know, a huge Rolodex is full of all these different resources that I can use and that other people can, everything from, do you need your cat to be spayed? And if your cat, you can't afford to have your pet spayed, well, I know where you can go to get them done for free. And I know if you need low-income dental or you need glasses or...
That's a good place to know.
I know where those places are, but these people do too.
So you sound like you're even a really good resource.
Absolutely. That's, I mean, as an LPN, I've never been able to work in a field where I could just use my community resourcing skills. It's definitely what I would love to do. But I've never found a job to do that. This job that I'm doing here for nothing, that I'm not getting paid for, but I'm damn good at it. People need things, you know, I give it to them. I get it for them. Now, if they're not willing to get up off their ass and do it themselves, then, you know, what can I do for you? I'm not going to do your work for you. But most of the time, that's not the case with these parents. Most of the time, they're more than willing to do what it takes, and then some. You know,
but some of them, though, the way child protection is, it depends on the mentality of the parents. Some of them are too passive, and then the attitude that child protection pulls on them scares them into just giving up, even though they actually would have no hope in hell of ever giving up. It was actually grinded into them to actually give up.
Look at your wife on that video. She looks like a goddamn deer in headlights.
Oh yeah.
Oh, terrifying.
Like this.
And you know, when I like I said, when I was watching it, I didn't really, you couldn't see the police officers, and she didn't announce that they were there until, you know, quite a bit into the interview.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they were there, and I thought, well, she shouldn't be so intimidated if it's just, you know, a couple of workers. She should be standing her ground, saying, listen, I don't know what you heard, but, you know, you can, pardon me, you can come back and, you know, do, when my husband's here, you know, you can come back later if it's a concern for you. But meanwhile, she says, well, you see, we have 4 RCMP officers. I'd have crapped my pants. I don't think, like, now it all made sense. Saw that, I said, oh my God, now I see why she looks so goddamn terrified. And I would have. I feel so bad for her because, you know...
I bet you her heart was skipping beats.
Oh, yeah, every time they've come to my door, you know, I have a panic attack.
They just and look at the way she talked to my wife in there. She's talking about the way my friend was on the phone, saying, who is that? Get off the phone. It's because he's talking like that because we knew they were going to call.
Yeah.
So obviously saying, just hang up on them, don't talk to them. And then she tries to make the insinuation that my wife, because just that my wife is having sexual relations with him and me. Did you hear that part in the video?
No, I don't remember that. This was when you were there?
No, this is the ones that I have on the YouTube right now.
I don't remember if
I think it's in the first one, or first or second one, part 1 or part 2. I'm not sure. I actually uploaded the whole thing all in one shot though.
Oh well, I'll go and rewatch them.
Yeah, but she says, well, I don't know why somebody would talk like that, because it was my friend that said it, and she's like, I don't know why anybody would talk like that unless you were in some kind of intimate relationship or something like that. Just listen closely and you'll hear her. She's...
Oh, okay, now that you say it like that, I do recall what you're talking about.
And I was like, what?
Yeah. Yes, I do recall. And I recall her asking about what kind of drugs your wife does.
Bro, what? She doesn't do drugs.
I know, but but like you could just see the look of like what on your wife's face. I laughed.
You could even see in her face the thought that she had. Oh my God, am I gonna get falsely accused of doing drugs too?
No, well, I could just see how she was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you would ask this to me. As far as I know, he hasn't been doing drugs, so why would you even ask me about what kind of drugs I've been doing?
And did you know, here's another thing, did you notice that in the video, they got up to use my washroom? Do you remember that? Just watch. She asked to go use the washroom. The other one used the washroom. And they try not to be too long. But long and behold, okay, I had things set up perfectly in the medicine cabinet and underneath the sink. Because I knew they were coming, like I said. That's why I wasn't there. I left ahead of time. I knew they were coming.
Yeah.
And they used my washroom. They dug through everything looking for any signs of pipes, paraphernalia, anything, and there was nothing there.
Did they only go in your bathroom?
But I set them up.
Did they only go in your bathroom?
I think they might have peeked into the bedroom, but everybody was still in. I didn't have anything in the bedroom. I should have, but I'm.
Did they ask you to go into your, like, did they open your cupboards?
But they didn't ask, no.
They did this to me twice in 1 year. Okay, one time they did not search, and the other two times they did. Okay, the first time that they did, they had a 2-hour interview with me and my husband, and then told us that they did not have any concerns. And as they were getting ready to leave and walk out my front door, which is, I'm pointing to it in my camera.
A light bulb went off?
No, she said, oh, by the way, we just need to do an inspection of your home. It's standard procedure. And I said...
Who's the worker that said that? Do you remember her name?
Yeah. Yes, I do. I just, hold on 1 second, and I have her name.
Is she still in the field today?
Her signature is here. She was very nice. Like, this is the whole thing.
Oh, I'm sure she was. If she's trying to tell you it's policy, she's going to try to tell you as like butter.
There was, when they came, did this, what happened was she said, because they came, the reason they came was because I dropped a key off at my daughter's school. And I was concerned that I had to get my son's newborn pictures done, and I was concerned that I might not get home in time if traffic got bad. So I dropped the key off at the school. I never do this. She's 8 years old, so she's not, a little kid, and she knows home safety rules and whatever else. She's 8 years old, almost 9. I dropped this key off at the school and said, just in case, I don't get home in time, I don't want her waiting outside in the freezing cold. Here's the key. They phone Child Services on me, and a couple weeks later, Child Services comes, takes my daughter out of class, interviews her for an hour, and then basically phones us and says, okay, well, we would like to come over and have a meeting with you. And I said, well, my husband's at work, so you're gonna have to wait till he comes back. She said, okay, no problem. So around 7, they came over. They didn't leave till 9:30, and right about 9 o'clock, they said, okay, we're done. We don't have any concerns here. This was after they asked us everything from, is there a family history of sexual abuse? Is there a family history of drug abuse or alcohol? Have either one of you ever been into care? And I mean, honestly, I have no problem telling them that, yes, I was an abused child. My father's a pedophile. Well, yeah, but I mean, at the same time, like, I was never in care. I was never in foster care, and I told them, what happened between my father and...
What does it matter if you were in care as a child? Just because... Why would it matter if you were in care as a child?
Because...
There's a better chance of your child being in care just because you were?
Yes.
So they're stereotyping us now.
Absolutely. That's like the silliest question I've ever heard, because, of course, it's even part of their risk assessment tool. That if you were a child, if the parent was a child in care, they are a bigger risk to their child for abuse. And the thing is like, the whole bureaucratic crap behind it is really ridiculous. But if you think about it, when they take a child away and they put the child in care, there is a 60 to 70% chance that that child will lose their child to the system. Now,
do you believe that?
That's because they don't even have faith in their own wards to be good parents. They take them away from their parents so that they can supposedly give them a better life, but then they don't actually trust the quality of life that they've given them to be able to make proper decisions as parents themselves in the future.
Because they already had the experience that lives can be changed and altered by the snap of a finger.
Yep. So the two workers had told me when they came to my house, after asking me, they had a checklist, a little pamphlet, and they were checking off these questions. And when I'm looking here, they basically put numbers down on the page on their, like I have their reports here, their written reports, and it has them written down the page of the numbers on this checklist and what the answers to the questions were. And I said, well, she goes, well, I know that most of this isn't really necessary. I know that, it doesn't, do we have any concerns about, she asked us if we had any concerns about our children being sexually abused. And we're like, no. I mean, like, why would, okay, like, where the hell does that question come from? And she's like, well, I know the answer is probably no, but, still we have to ask this question. And so she tells me, well, we're kind of new to the job. So, we haven't really done this too many times before, and this is just sort of like how we're getting used to it. And I'm thinking, okay, like, this is wonderful. You don't even know what you're doing. You just wasted almost an hour and a half of my time.
Yeah.
Now it's gotten on to 2 hours, and as you're leaving, you decide to say that it's standard procedure to search my home. So she opened my fridge, my cupboards, all my drawers. She went upstairs, like she went into every single room in my house, went upstairs into my room.
What was that name again? Or did you find the name?
Yeah, I found the name, but I don't know what the first name is because it doesn't say here.
Oh.
It's like Kaczynski. It's very scribbled, so I'm just kind of Kaczynski. I don't know. It's very hard to read here, but
Kaczynski? It's probably some German name.
Oh, it might be German or Polish. I'm not sure. There was two ladies here, but you can't really read their names very well. But she had told me she was a new worker, and these ladies were really nice, but still they were asking questions that really, I mean, if you're that ill-trained, where you're asking questions about whether or not parents have concerns about sexual abuse, when the complaint that was made, it was the school secretary who made it, the one that I dropped the key off with, now, they were the ones that called health services about me apparently consistently not being home for my child when she gets home from school. And when that's the complaint, why are you asking the parents if they have concerns whether their children are being sexually abused? Then she mentioned something about, how, well, your daughter really doesn't know what good touch, bad touch is. And I'm like, what the hell are you asking her about good touch, bad touch? You're questioning whether or not I'm home for her when she gets home from school, but you're really actually questioning her on whether or not she's been touched? Like, who the hell are you? Why do you have this authority to do this? And so, this is the authority that these people are given to come into your home and basically ask you and essentially accuse you of either sexually abusing your child or letting somebody else do it, for that matter.
Do you think this authority is there for a specific reason why they have this strong authority? More than the police officers do? Why do they? Do you think it's really to help these children, or do you think it's more than that?
I mean, really, I think there's a lot more to it.
What are some of your views?
Well, I've got a lot of complicated views. I really hate to think of conspiracy theory style stuff, but when I'm looking at the cases that I hear about, and I read the stories that people have written on the internet, and then I read things that are not just...
Have you read about the Casey's case?
Yes. Yes, and I'm familiar with some of the names that were mentioned. You'll find that even while they're standing in court, against...
I don't trust that, though.
They're going against their opponent, and they're calling their opponent their friend. That's how they keep things civil. But at the same time, I've heard lawyers say, you know what, you might as well just give up. You might as, because honestly, they have endless pockets, and you're not going to win. And when you hear this come out of your lawyer's mouth, you think, oh my God, so there's absolutely nothing that I can do. They say you can try to appeal it, but you're not going to win.
But why do you think they were trying to take your kid though? Like that, or anybody's like that?
Well,
When you feel and why did they take my kid? They're giving you all these reasons. You don't think you can get your kid back?
well, I think that in general, you know, there are a lot of people out there who want children. There are a lot of people who can't have children, or, you know, feel like they want to do the right thing and adopt a child that has problems, or who needs foster care. But the thing is that they don't know a lot of the time where these babies are really coming from. They don't know that that mother really didn't deserve to have her kid taken away. They're told that the mother is a drunk or a prostitute or, you know, or just didn't want the kid or couldn't take care of the kid. The kid is later told that by, you know, the adoptive parents.
Oh yeah, and even if they don't even know the actual biological parents,
Yeah.
they still bash them down. Oh, they were nothing, good for nothing.
Well,
You're better off with us. Slap, slap.
so the big debacle that, you know, our favorite senator there, you know, that was part of what she was
Nancy?
about. What's that?
Nancy?
No,
In the United States, Nancy Schaffer or something like that?
yes.
Where she tried to expose the black market adoption ring?
Right, and that's exactly what goes on.
And that's why she was killed?
Yes, and that's it's a little different in the States because everything's privatized in the States, everything. Now in Alberta,
There's a high demand for adoptions.
there is
There's a long waiting list.
but the other issue is that
And I know the only way to avoid it, and I mentioned in the other video too that if they aren't taking kids from families, then they don't have a job.
right. Actually, I was mentioning this to my husband the other day because I said, you know,
So they have to keep taking these kids or they're out of work.
what motivation would a lawyer have to screw over their client in on behalf of child services?
I already know that answer, and it would be because of financial gain.
Well, yes, but now the thing is that arguably people could say, well, that could be traced. There would be a lot of knowledge about that kind of thing. But the thing is that it doesn't even have to go in the regards of, you know, they're getting paid to throw those cases. It's not even about that. It's just that the more kids that go into care, even if it's only temporary, regardless of whether it goes PGO or not, there are lawyers on both sides that are employed. And the more workers that are needed, the more foster families that are needed. The more, you know, everything gets increased, funding gets increased, you know, but yet the resources that they're going to pay these foster families is basically what they should be paying, not necessarily the parents directly, but some way, either indirectly, to, like, you know, for therapy, physical therapy for a physically disabled child, instead of taking that, I don't know if you're familiar with the Samantha Martin case.
Just brief spots on the internet. I think I seen you post.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, essentially, she was only placed in care because, you know, the government said, well, we can't give you the funding for her therapy that she needs. You have to put her in care in order for us to give that funding. So the child wasn't taken from her parents. You know, then the mother has to surrender the child, still gets, you know, access to her child, and luckily, you know, there was no question of whether or not she was abusive, but that child was horribly abused. And instead of taking that child away from her mother, her mother should have been provided with all the funding necessary to get every single bit of treatment needed.
Yeah.
Come out of the social services pocket, because, you know, after 10, even 5 years, 3 years, 4 or 5 years in foster care, that's still averaging to be about, let me give you an example, 1 year of foster care for a child that is 5 years old in a level 2 home, it costs about $14,000 a year plus extras.
You know what would be cheaper? is if these child protection workers, instead of removing the children out of their homes, worked with these families.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
They'd save a lot of revenue.
Right. I mean, look at my family, right? When they gave me the letter of recommendation to Calgary Housing to be able to get into that place because I was in a bad position, and gave me the letter to go to social services, they gave me those letters. And those letters helped me get a place, helped me get into the programs that I needed to get into. I got myself into those programs, but nevertheless, I was able to get into those programs, have a safe, stable place for my child and me, as well as have some financial grounding to be able to do that and some independence. Why the hell aren't you doing that for all those other parents out there? Why aren't you helping them get a place or help them get more financially stable? Well, I do that job. Those people come to me because their social workers won't do it. Because their social workers say, well, we can't. Well, what do you mean you can't? You have all those resources.
What these social workers don't realize is that what their actions are doing are causing a chain reaction of mental damage. These kids are getting mental damage by being stripped from their parents, growing up with people who they don't know, they have to get to know, and they still have no connection with at all whatsoever. And these foster families seem to think that we can force some kind of connection into them so that they can feel like we are their parents.
Yeah. Well, it's not just the parents and the kids that get hurt. It's grandparents, it's siblings.
It is.
It's friends. My best friend, having her child gone, has created such a hole of grief inside of me. I can't imagine as the mother what she's going through. You know, but here, you know, I feel like there's this empty hole there because here I'm involved with her and her children's lives, but that one child is not there and should be there. You know, it's almost the same as having a death in the family. You know, it's like having your child die. It's all there isn't much difference from it.
That's what I was explaining to Kat. Those nights I had to sleep, I was telling you the other day that it was pretty empty. It felt like both of them had passed away, and it was so hard to sleep with that empty bed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I can't imagine.
And without hearing her, and she was only there for 10 days after her birth, but still I was already used to hearing her breathe before I fell asleep, because she slept in the same room in a bassinet. And that was heartbreaking for me.
No, I can. I mean, I can't relate. I'm sorry. I can't tell you that I know exactly what that feels like because I've not experienced that, but I have experienced, you know, having a friend lose her child.
I'm sure you have somewhat the ability to place yourself in somebody else's shoes, though.
I'm an empathetic individual, so yes, I can completely sympathize and empathize with, you know, a family who's lost their children. But there are so many other ways of establishing healthier relationships and families with these.
Fix the families, don't break the vase when it's already broken. Fix it up.
Why can't you turn around and just say, okay, you know what, we're going to do this, we're going to get you help. You know, they allowed my ex and I to go through counseling, like couples counseling, as well as him go through his own counseling and me go through my own counseling. We had a counselor that came to our house, and he was a lovely man. He was, you know, very accommodating with his time schedule, and they paid him directly. We never saw a bill for it. And you know what? It was offered to us. We didn't ask for it. It was offered. We said we would be willing to do it, but it was offered to us. And the thing is that half these other families are begging for it, and they're being told, no, we can't. We don't know, or we don't have the funding, or we don't, you know, there's a waiting list, or, you know, we don't have time to do that because your child's supposed to go PGO in a couple months, and we're not going to, you know, there's nothing that can be done. One of my clients has, she had, on her return child to home plan, she had basically...
Isn't that just called the risk assessment, or risk reduction plan?
Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, essentially that's what it is, but it's the return child home plan. Basically, if they were planning to not go PGO, then this is what they would expect to see in order for them not to go PGO. So it was quoted as saying that they have to be able to provide for their child's psychological, social, and emotional and physical needs and be free from domestic conflict. Well, this couple has been through child services now for over 3 years. So if they've been through child services for almost 3 years, do you not think that they're going to have some marital problems relating to that? Even if they had a perfect relationship before their child got taken, they are not going to have a perfect relationship now. And the fact of the matter is that child welfare does not take responsibility.
They don't.
The trauma that they cause parents,
They won't. I don't know how some of these workers sleep at night.
I have no idea either. Honestly,
Unless they're satanic, that's the only way that they can sleep at night. Knowing that they're going to go to work the next day after they've already killed one and know that they may possibly hurt and damage another one.
well, I mean, one of the things that I've discussed with quite a few people is that, you know, people, I try to be as objective as possible because I can't really help these people if I can't look at the situation from the same side as a child welfare worker. Now, most child welfare workers go into their job with the positive intention that they're going to go and help children.
Yeah, most do, but not all of them.
No, that's right. That you're right. But most of them do. But what happens to them is one of a couple things.
They get poisoned by some of the other ones that are already in there.
Okay, that's one of the things. Yes. So sometimes they get poisoned by what they see. They get put into a job, into a position where they're told, you have to do what I tell you, or you'll lose your job. You're giving that family too much. You're going to do this, this, and this. And she does it because that's what she's being paid to do. Now you get other ones who go, oh my God, this is not the job for me. I'm the hell out of here. And they quit, which is why we have a huge, huge turnover rate among social workers. So the next thing that happens is there are people who had their first couple of jobs that they saw something absolutely traumatic, where there was a child that was abused or killed by their parent or neglected or starved, and they see this, and it taints them forever against all other parents who have even the allegation of abuse or neglect. And they instantly have a wall up because they have already seen too much. It's like post-traumatic stress disorder, you know? They kind of have this major anxiety towards people, now built up a bias towards anybody that has ever had a phone call made on them. In my case, I'm very lucky. You know, I've had quite a few investigations in my life, and they've been able to come into my home and go, well, you know, it's relatively safe. You know, we can't see any major concerns. Your house is clean. You have food in your fridge. Your kid looks, you know, healthy and not abused.
You know what they did to me, though? They made me not trust my government.
They absolutely, yes.
They made me hate my government. Like, literally hate it. And then when I seen more and more all over the internet about everything happening in the same way everywhere,
Yep. No,
then I got sick.
I told, you know, that I said, I hate politics and I hate law, but, you know, I got into nursing because I wanted to become a midwife and I wanted to help babies, you know, enter the world in a serene environment, you know, in the most positive way possible. That was why I got into the field. And then I got in here and I realized that there's a whole other world of problems with children. And this is, you know, where it starts. Now, I'm a doula, and basically what that is somebody who goes and attends a labor with a woman to support her and her husband. Generally, I would include prenatal, you know, private prenatal classes with that. I would explain to them the birthing process. And that's
Like Lamaze and stuff like that?
Yeah, essentially that's kind of, I mean, I don't per se, but I mean, those types of techniques for, you know, pain control and that sort of thing. And so now I'm there for both mom and husband. Sometimes the husband doesn't need it, but sometimes he really does. Sometimes it's mom that needs it, and the husband's perfectly fine, right?
Depends on that specific individual's mentality, yeah?
Yeah. So, now, the thing is that knowing that there are a lot of women out there who can't afford the service of a doula because they charge about $1,000 for their service. I provide free doula services for women who are low-income families.
Well, good for you.
Now, I've had a few referrals from some of the community agencies, and they're, that's wonderful because that's what they need to do. But sometimes, you start to get this feeling like maybe those community agencies aren't really fully supporting these girls the way they should be, or, that maybe they should be helping them in other ways, but you can't say anything because it's you could lose your position as a doula and your certifications. You can get in a lot of trouble for standing up and advocating for any of your clients. Now, so, I teach them to advocate for themselves and what they can say, or ask, rather, in any type of situation. But now, I haven't personally had any clients who've had a child apprehended at birth, but I know that there are people, doulas out there that have had it.
Oh yeah, because now they have these people, like I say, in every video, there's a worker that's waiting for people to squeeze out a kid, and then she's in there all over you like a fly to shit, asking you questions about you, your husband, does he work, what kind of work does he do?
You want to hear about what they basically said, the complaint, one of the complaints that was made on me?
Sure.
The last one. One of the things that they said was that that I smoked pot through all my pregnancy, both my pregnancies rather, and that I was, I chose to have a midwife and a home delivery because I had both my children at home because midwives don't test for drugs. I don't know if you remember your wife ever getting tested for drugs by a doctor, but doctors do not test for drugs.
No.
It's standard in pregnancy. They don't do it. It's against your, your privacy. If a doctor were to go and ask every woman for a drug test while she was pregnant, there would be a lot of women not going to doctors because of a violation of privacy. Like you can't do that. So, this person was obviously an idiot and didn't realize that. And I pity their ignorance because obviously they thought that was going to get me in trouble. And that's the farthest thing from the truth, right? It wouldn't have mattered whether I'd had a doctor and gone to a hospital or whether I had my child at home with a midwife. There would have been no procedural differences as far as drug testing. But, I encourage parents to look into the option of home birth. Depending on where you are, midwifery services are covered. And, a lot of women say, well, I don't think I can handle the pain. Well, okay, that's fair enough, and you always have that option to go to a hospital later if you just decide that that's what you want to do. However, if you're concerned that child services is going to show up at the hospital, well, I mean, you make your choice, right? You want to risk losing your child at the hospital or having your child in a very safe, serene environment that is your own, that you get top quality care with, and as well as there's emergency standard procedures that midwives are trained for, So I try to encourage looking at a home delivery simply because, you don't quite know what you're going to get when you get to the hospital. You don't know who's going to be there. Maybe that nurse is just on a bitchy day and you said something wrong to her and you pissed her off.
You know what else I wanted to mention? Is that when you're going to court, here's a little tip on how you can get a hold of your disclosure package and make copies of it. Now you postpone getting a lawyer. Just say, well, keep postponing for 2 weeks, then another 2 weeks. Then you say, well, I couldn't get a lawyer, but I'm planning on getting one. And then Crown will already by then probably have your disclosure. And then what they do is they'll hand it to you and expect you to give it to your lawyer. You open that disclosure, then you get the look, you photocopy everything, you take that home too, and you review it, and you know exactly what they got on you.
Yeah.
So don't get a lawyer right away. And plus, that'll piss off the courts anyway, because their court dockets are completely backed right up. So it'll definitely piss them off, but they have to give you 2 weeks. If you ask for 2 weeks, well, they gotta give you 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's very true, but there's also another part to that. Parents don't realize how the Freedom of Information and Privacy Act works, and don't realize that whatever notes they make on you during any sort of investigation, even if it comes up to be unsubstantiated and they don't open a file, any notes that they've taken on you, you can request a copy of through the privacy office.
Yeah, but they charge you for that.
They do. You're right. They do. My 300 pages cost me $75.
Really? Did it give you the names of the people that actually made the complaint?
No, it only gave me the exact quote of what their claim was.
Ah, that's almost well enough.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. Because it even gives you a perspective of how the person said it. And
yep. Then you know you can pin it. Oh, yeah.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, that's how I know it was the school that had called on me twice the 1 year. And I have a feeling I know who the last person was. I'm just kind of waiting for a little slip-up. And when it happens, then I know I'll have them. So, but one of those problems that you can overcome for any future issues is that you can know exactly what was written in, because they won't tell you everything they're writing down, right? But you can request copies of it. And the thing is that...
You're right.
Let's just say they come into your home. They do a half an hour investigation, say it's closed, but they've made some notes. It's going to cost you maybe $2 to $2 to $5 to get what they've written on you in that session, which is only a few pieces of paper. It's 25 cents a sheet or something.
But do you think our government will actually give you every piece of information to everybody that asks?
Well, the thing is
or do you think that there are some little slips and cracks in the system that say, oh, well, let's not give her everything, let's keep this stuff?
Oh, no, there is. Like, these are, if you look through my file, you'll see sections that have been removed. And it will tell you which pages have been removed and under which act, and under the Privacy Act, that they have been, why they've been removed. So some sections here are blanked out, and they say Section 17. So you can refer to Section 17 and find out, why was that removed. Now the thing is that sometimes they've removed information that, like I mentioned one of my friends, and I mentioned her name. Now they took out my statement of her name. Why when I'm requesting my own information, why are you taking my own statement out? It doesn't make any sense. Now, if you get your...
Yeah, that is kind of odd.
It is odd, right? Now, even when I had a visitor at my home during one of the investigations, I had a visitor at my home. Now, the thing is that I know that visitor was there, so why did they blank out her name? They said so-and-so is here, but they blanked out so-and-so's name, and stated that she was at my place, but blanked out her name, which is silly because she was at my house with me at my request. I know that she was there, so why are you trying to block it out from me that she was there? It's just silly things like that don't make any sense as to how they do it. But if you disagree with what has been redacted or removed from the file, you can request an adjudication, which is a huge procedure to go through to see if the person who took those things out of the file...
And where do you go to get this done again? Where do you go to request this?
Well, if you're in Alberta, you just go you can just type in Freedom of Information and Privacy Act.
Yeah, but where do you go get your file if you want to request it? Tell everybody where you go get that.
Well, that's exactly who you go through. And what happens...
Ah, okay.
You're going to have to go to them, that you print out their little form, or you can mail it in, whatever, you can email it. You fill out the form, it requests, you have to specify the dates of when the events occurred that you would like the paperwork from, and the names of the people. So if if you have custody of your children, you have the right to request their information that's in the file as well. Otherwise, they will take their names and blank their names out as well. So my husband and I had to file together. So
okay.
Otherwise, they would give us duplicate copies, but just blank out his name from my copies and my name from his copies. So it's really dumb. So she basically said the lady who did this for me, she had said to me, she was really sweet. She said, "Okay, well, why don't I just do one copy? You write me a letter to say that you both give each other permission to see each other's names, and then I'll just send you one copy with both the names." Well, great, because I don't have to pay $150 instead of $75. So. So that was fine. I got that done. It was wonderful. I got it back in a couple months because it took a couple months because there was 300 pages to go through. If you only have a couple pages, like if the workers just walked out your home, you get onto that internet, you print out that form, you request that immediately. Within a couple weeks, you'll have it, and it'll cost you like $5.
Nice.
That way, in the future, you know what the next worker is going to read when if they have to do another investigation on you. You know already what they're going to come to your home and say, well, we read this in your file.
Looks like my show is becoming quite educational for all these families out there.
Good. They need it. They need to know what's going on out here. How to protect themselves.
Yeah. I wanted to mention, you were talking in another part of the email you sent me about an apprehension, I think that you're talking was in Calgary, that was filed 2 months before the child was born.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me more about that?
Well, I don't know a whole bunch more.
Just a little bit about it.
Is that the parents were pregnant and they'd moved to Calgary. They informed the child services from the city that they were in that they were going to be moving to Calgary. They had already had a child previously apprehended and passed out on a PGO. And the judge had warned child services just to leave them alone, let them move to Calgary, let them do their own thing, and have a second chance being parents again. Well, that didn't happen, and when the child, they had immediately phoned child services out here and informed them that this couple was moving out there and to be prepared for birth around, at some point in time, they gave them a time frame, and because they didn't know, I think, exactly when the child was going to be born, they had to file for that apprehension, but they did go through 2 judges to do it. There was 3 judges, 2 judges denied them. And from my understanding, you can't really do that unless you don't fully state the truth.
Well, my thing is to you and the viewers, if you can make an apprehension or file an apprehension for a child 2 months before it's born, then why do we have abortions? Abortion clinics.
Right. Yeah, I know, because I mean, it's not considered a life until it's born, and that is...
if it's not a life considered a life until it's born, then you shouldn't be able to get an apprehension order 2 months before it's born.
I mean, I don't know how it's even possible. Myself, under the law...
I'm sure it happens, though.
It's not a life, but that's what I'm saying.
But not no more.
I think that the ground we got the child under that early was because they didn't know the due date, and possibly. See, I was under the
2 months though. Come on. And you said that they knew that they were dealing with child protection in the last town they were living in, and then a 2-month apprehension order. That's quite early.
Yep.
Even I could just roughly guess the date better than that.
Well, the parents have told me that they didn't really know how far along they were because they'd had a lot of different, dates given to them by the
doctors.
They hadn't been specific. They didn't specify to child services. They weren't very open about saying that they were pregnant. But I guess it was kind of noticeable at some point in time, and they asked the mother if she was pregnant. She said yes, and then it was a little while after that she moved. But so they didn't know. I don't think that they specifically knew when she was due. I think they didn't have an idea. And the other thing is that they got that child on the grounds that the parents had significant cognitive delays. But child welfare had possession of a parenting assessment done in their previous case with their oldest child, and it stated that they had mild cognitive delays, not significant ones.
Yeah, it says mild cognitive delays right here.
Yeah, and so...
And then you say right after that, the charter is against a disability, or no, it's supposed to protect against discrimination.
That's what our Canadian charter says, that you cannot be discriminated against.
Well, everybody is.
But that's exactly it. If you have a learning disability, you are also at a higher risk of losing your child, because it can be challenged that you don't have the mental capacity to provide the child with all their needs.
That's a good thing that we made this point, because tomorrow I'm even going to be having an interview with a lady from Surrey, BC, who had she had 3 kids. One was taken or apprehended, and it was all due just because of her disability, and her only disability is severe hearing loss.
And that's very common. I haven't heard too many about hearing loss, but about other disabilities I have, definitely. And I think, the thing is that these disabilities are being speculated on in the beginning. They're not confirmed a lot of the times, or even if they are confirmed, there's no documentation that Child Services has been provided with to show them I'm talking about prior to an apprehension, to say that this person lacks the mental capacity to care for a child.
There's a movie that demonstrates a lot of rights for people with mental disabilities. That movie is called I Am Sam. Do you remember that movie?
I do. One of my favorites. And that's exactly a perfect example, because even though his mental capacity was quite low, he was able to understand all of the physical needs of a child, and the emotional ones too. Exactly,
but the child protection worker purposely blinded herself. It wouldn't even allow herself to even see that. And they in that video, they were actually trying to portray what an actual child protection worker is like, and they're actually worse than that.
And that's another thing too, right? Is that it also has a lot to do with the fact that some of those workers really do care, and they want the best for the child, and they think in their mind, somehow they think you're not good enough for that child, and that is where
But they're going. Most of them aren't going by what they've learned in education. Well, maybe a little bit, but a lot of them are just going by their own experiences, upbringing.
Exactly. It's not about just
social experiences.
Theoretical based.
It's just their biased opinion.
Yes, exactly. And it's speculation, it's conjecture. And
one child protection worker could say, oh, well, I don't think you can have your kids. But if you bring in another one that has a totally, completely different background, I'm sure she's going to say something different.
Right. And that brings me to a point of, one of the things about, like, drugs, marijuana, just marijuana, that alone. You could have...
If that's the case, then nobody should have their kids because you're smoking cigarettes. Now, they even proved that stuff's much worse.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And,
well, then child protection better get busy.
Well, and that's it. But, it even comes down to child protection workers they're not trained in law, okay? And
no, but they don't go by... They go by what they have on paper, not by true knowledge, though.
But they also go by just their own, what level of power they've been given. Okay, and I'll give you an example. I had a worker once tell me that, my partner and I, we have our children at our home. You're not allowed, because, we've never lost our children, but because they do go to their grandparents' weekends, if we had our children, we were not allowed to smoke marijuana together. Only one of us could, and the other one had to stay sober. And she said, because it's the same law that applies to drinking. And I said, you're telling me that there is a law that states that two parents can't drink at the same time? And she said, she looked at me and she didn't know quite how to answer it, but she was like,
I don't think there's a law.
Well, she said, yeah. And it was like, yeah. She didn't quite have it she was like, I'm going to tell her yes. And I could see it in her face, and I was like, so you're telling me this is actually a law, that two parents can't drink at the same time? And she goes, well, if you're both going to have one glass of wine, that would be okay, or a beer each. That would be okay. But if either one of you were going to have more than one, the other one has to stay completely sober. So I took this up with a lawyer. I asked him specifically, is there a law that states that two parents can't drink at the same time? And he kind of laughed at me.
Well, yeah.
There's no law like that. And I said, okay, well, this is what this worker told me. And I said exactly how she said it. And he goes, well, let me tell you one thing, honey. Social workers aren't trained in law. They have no idea really what the laws are. The only law and provincial act that they have to abide by is the Child Welfare Act. Anything other than that, they know nothing of the charter. They know nothing of,
All right, because when you start bringing up the rights that you have, they're clueless. They're like, no, you don't. You don't have any rights. Because they were saying that to me. I don't have any rights. And I'm explaining my rights to them in this. The one in the video in the hidden cam, she's telling me I ain't got no rights.
Yep. No,
and I had rights.
There are so many laws in the Canadian Charter that apply to certain people within the system that they don't even realize. Like having your home searched. You can legally say no to them searching your home because they don't...
And they can't hold it against you by you say no either.
But the thing is that really they can hold it against you because they...
No, they can't.
Okay, listen to me though. They're not supposed to be able to. But the thing is that they'll tell a judge that you're combative, non-cooperative, and that you have something to hide.
Then I just debate and say, so what? I didn't want them seeing a bunch of presents that I had hidden in there for my kid.
Right, but still...
and if they want to blow a popcorn fart over something like that, well then...
I know, but it happens though, John. That's what I'm saying is that... It's so common that it's like I said, if they tell you they want something, you better do it.
Well, then that shit's gonna change.
Well, I hope so. Because you know what? People have this fear that if they don't do what they're told, they're going to lose their children. And really, at the end of the day, that's what happens. People say, no, I'm not going to do this, and they lose their children. Or they say, okay, I'll do whatever you want, and they still lose their children. So, there are a few lucky people who get their kids back.
It's funny because the worker, the last one I just dealt with, her name was Jackie, and she said that she wanted me to go to ADAC or something like that, right? But I don't have a drug problem, so I didn't see why that was necessary. But she still insisted that I go, and it was something that I was supposed to do, but I didn't go. Still got my kid back. I had it delivered to me, and I still ain't going because I don't have to go.
Right. Well,
and then another thing was, before my kid was to move in, I was supposed to be recommended to some type of one-on-one counseling or something like that. Okay, and that they would hook it up for me even. Okay, now this is just stuff that they brought up because they wanted to cover their ass because they fucked up with me in the beginning.
Right.
And I recorded a bunch of their fuck-ups. So now this is what they're doing to try to cover their tracks. Is try to, well, we think that you should be set up with this and that, and they still haven't set me up with that. They just stated that to me because it was just a technique of covering one's ass.
Well, and that's just it, is that they make you...
So I'm just trying to make sure these people don't fall for the bullshit that they hear from these people.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what but the people don't realize that they don't have to do these things. It'll...
And if they take your kid, you can still get your kid back.
Yes, and I tell people, do not lose hope at all, because...
That's what they want you to do.
And the more appeals that are made on the same, against the same workers, and the more people that appeal or even make complaints to the Law Society about lawyers who aren't acting in their best interest, it might come across as though you're just an angry parent that has lost your child. But at the end of the day, when there are...
You're an angry parent who's fighting for what they believe in.
Yes, and if there's...
Fighting for love.
Who have the same complaint, and they keep telling, and it keeps coming up, somebody's got to listen at some point in time. You know, you can't go on forever. There has to be an end to this, and the only way to do that is for everybody to voice that opinion and to say, look at social services, you can do things to help these families. We need to preserve families. I call myself a family preservation advocate because
That's what you're doing.
I'm trying to preserve the unity and the sanctity of a family. And regardless of if they have their problems, everybody has their problems. Why don't we help them deal with those problems? If after we've tried to help them and we've done everything that they can, if they are
You
still
don't give up on them.
well, yeah, but I mean, like, let's just say you've got a family who's violent, a father who has violent, temper tantrums, and it is potentially a danger to his child. Could be the mother, who cares? But either way, you have to say, okay, look since you have not hit your child, but you're a risk to be abusive, you need to complete these programs. If after he's completed those programs, there's still police reports coming in that he's beating up his wife or whatever, okay, then you might have the right to go and apprehend the child. If a parent says, gets called on because they do drugs, well, put them in a drug program, have them pass 6 months.
Yeah, don't just drug test them, find out it's positive, take their kids and say, fuck you, that's it. You're never seeing your kid again.
Immediately at the house.
Well, that's going to help that person quit doing drugs.
No, but I'm saying, okay, let's just say if they came to me and somebody said I was smoking crack, and I knew I wasn't smoking crack, I'd be willing to piss on a stick right now to prove to you that I wasn't smoking crack. If my piss test comes out negative, you should walk the fuck out of my house and see you the fuck later.
They're doing something a little different now. They took a sample of my hair is what they did, and they sent it in.
Yep. No, I've heard, that's apparently more accurate.
Oh yeah, because actually how it works is you take a strand of hair, and as it grows out of your scalp, see, and then every time you use drugs, there'll be a ring, and then that'll grow out, and then if you use drugs again, there'll be another ring, and then that'll grow out, and then yeah, so and then they can look and they can see every time you've used.
Probably why Britney Spears shaved her head, but...
Oh, actually, yeah, good call.
Yeah, that's why I was like, why would she shave her beautiful hair? Oh, wait a second, she's at risk of losing her children, so she probably wants to shave that hair to get rid of all that evidence.
And she probably tried to say it was for the Cancer Association or something.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Yeah. Oh, I noticed something else. You mentioned, something about Casey's case and lawyer. You said, anyway, I have a lot more on this couple that include the fact that they have the same shitty lawyer that screwed Beth and who is going to screw Cassie as well. She is in the pocket of CPS.
Well, and like I said, I don't have evidence to support that other than the people that I know who've had that particular lawyer.
And what do they say?
And basically their cases have all gone into the dumps. They've lost their children.
How many people are we talking that you know of so far? Being an advocate.
Okay, say that again, sorry?
How many people do you know so far?
I know of, well, I mean,
Being an advocate, right? So you should know a few more than just the average bear.
One that's lost, whose children has gone PGO. One that's close to going PGO. And Cassie, potentially another PGO. So, my understanding, repeatedly I'm being told by these people, my lawyer doesn't call me, I can't get a hold of them. When they go to them and they ask them, can you mention this? This is a problem for me, or what about this? They get more of a, well, that's not really important right now. We have other things.
Yeah, I noticed. And then when you get that happening, you know there's something wrong. You know there's something up. Yeah. Let your human instincts guide you, people.
Look at, okay, in Cassie's interview that I heard, she said that there was the lawyer for CPS had grilled her and brutalized, was very brutal on her.
Yeah.
That lawyer was still a student at law case against the CPS. So when you look at these types of things, you figure...
He was just playing like he was trying, but it was an automatic set-up court case is what it sounded like.
Well,
It sounds like Calgary's got a lot of problems because I'm even still getting more emails from people. I just hit up one interview with one person from Calgary, and then a few names are mentioned, and now everybody's digging it. Like, there's something going on in your city.
You talk to these people, when you mention certain names in certain cases, you can see that there's connections between certain things like...
Oh, bells started going off.
Absolutely, and I started looking at the 4 particular cases that have happened, including Casey's case. There was another one, Beth, and the 2 that I know of that were my friends. One is my friend, one is my client. All of these people somewhere have some names that are connected together.
That's what I mean. It's.
I'm finding that there are lawyers that have switched sides from being the lawyers of the parent to now all of a sudden they're either in the child advocacy position.
I've seen them go back and forth and back and forth. Crown prosecutor to this is even in criminal court.
Right, and that's the thing is, like, you can see, like I said about the girl with the baby in the garbage bag. That 15-year-old girl.
Oh, in Calgary there, that story on the news.
With her baby in a garbage bag out in the middle on her curb on garbage day. She'd given birth in her room. Her mother apparently didn't even know she was pregnant, and she gave birth in her room, played with the baby for a bit, then put it in a garbage bag, put it out on the curb, and then went and continued to make supper for her family. And then her mother came home, they sat down to supper, and the police knocked on the door and said, "Oh, we found this baby is sitting on your curb. Can you explain how it got there?" And then the girl says, "Oh, yeah, by the way, I had a baby." You know, and I didn't mean to hurt it or anything. I was scared, so I put it out there. Well, the judge, now I'm not sure whether this judge was specifically on. I know she is a family judge, and I also know that she's a youth criminal judge.
Mm-hmm.
I believe she gave the girl 12 months probation for putting her baby on the step, and gave the mother of the girl who gave birth custody of the child, even though that the mother who tried to kill the baby is going to still live in that household.
What are you going to do with that? What do they expect to do with that kid? They're going to raise that kid. How can they even try to forget the fact that that kid left her kid on the curb? Like,
exactly, but that same judge was the same judge that said my friend couldn't have her baby, couldn't have her 3-year-old because the foster mother testified that she might have fetal alcohol syndrome, which she was later diagnosed with ADHD, not fetal alcohol syndrome. My friend did not drink during her pregnancy.
So it was attention deficit disorder.
Yeah, and hyperactivity. Her father is like bipolar and has some other psychological issues. And the child was taken on the grounds that somebody called, a neighbor that she got in a fight with, called and said that she'd thrown her baby on the floor. That never happened, and the judge agreed that she believes that, you know, my friend did not harm her child intentionally or unintentionally.
Okay.
He still ruled that because the foster mother had queried about whether the child has FAS, and mind you, she didn't bring that up till trial, she said that she couldn't, in good conscience, give the child back to her natural mother in case this child did have developmental delays, and since, you know, essentially the foster mother was willing to adopt her, which is what she said on the stand, and then she's been in the care of that same foster mother for almost, you know, 1.5 to 2 years, that she, you know, would allow the adoption to go through. Well, the foster mother never adopted that child. And the testimony that she gave to relate to the FAS was basically that she thought that she had FAS because she couldn't use a pair of scissors at about age 3.
So
now,
that's...
This child showed up to the mother's baby shower. Second child, she showed up with a chunk of her hair missing. And I said...
Oh, I read that, I think.
Yes, I asked the foster mother together with them,
Yeah.
what happened to her hair? And she said, well, she cut it with a pair of scissors while I wasn't looking. testifies on the stand that this child can't use a pair of scissors, and that's why she thinks she has fetal alcohol syndrome. No doctor confirmed that she had fetal alcohol syndrome, but it put enough doubt in the judge's mind to be able to, for her to say, okay, I'm not going to give this kid back. So the kid gets adopted out.
But there's no professional that did any analysis to even, for the judge to even elaborate, to even make that decision.
Nope, not at all. They didn't make any, but there was nothing, that's what I'm saying, there's no other system that allows you to have, to prosecute somebody, and essentially a loss of a child is like it's like a criminal sentence, without having actual evidence. This is based on some foster mother's opinion that the child had fetal alcohol syndrome. She did not have fetal alcohol syndrome. So this judge allows the adoption to go through on my friend's kid, but gives the 15-year-old kid back hers after she tried to kill it. And then, you know, it sets up a precedence for people. They can throw their babies in a garbage bag. They can throw them in the dumpster. And then they can go, oh, well, I was scared. I didn't know what to do. And then have their kid back. What do you think happened just a few months ago when that lady gave birth and put her baby in the garbage bin, and then her husband came home on his lunch break to see if his wife was doing okay because she wasn't feeling well earlier in the morning, and found the baby in the garbage bin while he was walking home, rescued his own goddamn son out of the garbage bin. And then he says, well, child services won't give it back to me. Well, you didn't even know your woman was pregnant, first of all. And if you're going to be with some woman that has psychological issues that cause her to throw her baby in a garbage bag, we don't know if it's safe. And I don't blame them. I mean, if he wanted to raise the kid separately on his own, that I might support. But this woman obviously has psychological issues that need to be worked out, you know, before she...
What about making the effort to maybe offer the supports to this lady?
Well, there's nothing any further, there's no further media report on, you know, what's going on. They only give you the first, oh my gosh, we found a baby in the garbage bin.
Yeah, I know, that's why I'm saying don't trust your media. You can try to call them, in most cases they won't even help you with any case with child protection services.
They've even told
it's only like every 1,000 caller, then they'll do your story. Just to make it like they're actually trying to do something, but they're controlled by the government, so don't bother listening to your media.
They've told me that I was told at the courthouse when we were looking at, there were some news people at the courthouse, and we were asking about who we could talk to about child welfare related issues, and the guy gave us a number. We called it, and I said, well, I was given your number by so and so, and I was told that you like to investigate these child welfare matters. And he goes, actually, no, I hate them. He said, to be honest with you, there's nothing that I can do because I can't post the names of the parents, I can't post the names of this. I said, well, what about a case that's not open in front of the courts and doesn't involve a child that's got PTO? I'd be willing to give you my story, and it's perfectly legal to publish mine because my kids are not in care. And, you know, he said, well, what types of things are we talking about? I'm talking about breaking the law when it comes to, you know, your Charter of Rights, how many times they searched my home and found nothing, yet they still search my home. They don't have a warrant, but if I say no, they get an apprehension order. That's what they threaten. That's what they tell me. So my level of anxiety on a daily basis is normally quite good. I don't have a whole lot of anxiety. If my doorbell rings, if it goes off and I'm not expecting somebody, I go into a panic mode. And even if it's a delivery guy, 40 minutes later, I'm still sitting there with heart palpitations and my sweaty palms and, you know, flustered and feeling like, oh my God, is this really, like, you gotta calm down. It was just a delivery guy.
Yeah. It's just Domino's.
Into my home and take my kid away from me. And, you know, speaking out against things, you know, I was told by this lawyer, you know, you could make yourself a target.
Yep, I was told that too.
But at the same thing, he said at the same time, we need people like you out there who are willing to say, you know, look, I've seen the stuff that goes on, and I'm not trying to say that we should destroy the system and take it down and not have it. We need to have...
I think we do need to take it down, and we do have to have it, but not have it with the people who are running it now.
No, and
nor the puppets behind our politicians and other bureaucrats.
So I mean, like I said before, I hate law and I hate politics, but
So do I.
seriously considered.
Can't we just all live in peace and freedom?
Well, I seriously consider going back into school to study law or politics just so that I can get into a position to be able to do something about this. Because, you know, you can write as many letters as you want to Parliament or, you know...
That ain't gonna do shit. That won't even get your pinky toe in the door.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's great for people to have a resource that they can go to and express themselves and talk to a group of people. But at the same time, there are so many people who have invaded the sanctity of those groups. Like I'm talking about workers or the people who are paid by workers to do those investigations to find out who's running these sites, you know, reporting them.
And they also linger around on those Facebook groups.
They do, and I know that they do because there are, as soon as somebody posts something about a lawyer or a whatever or a child welfare worker, instantly they're being threatened to take down the site or they'll lose their child, or the site's being reported as being abusive, and right away the site's getting shut down. And I think you know what I'm talking about. Haven't you had that happen to you a couple times already?
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's all I've been doing is telling the world the truth. I've only been showing them what I have, and it's actual visual truth.
They don't want you to know because they don't...
Well, they're gonna have to know because I'm gonna keep showing them until I'm dead.
If they lose their power, if you change the system, because if they are held accountable, there are going to be so many cases that will have to be reopened and looked at and investigated.
That's what I'm working at getting done. I want these families that have lost even this Lisa tomorrow. She's been 20 years since she's seen her one son out of 3. She has 3 kids and only 1 in care, and the one has been in care since 1997 or 98. She's the one with the disability that her only disability is hearing.
Yeah.
Her major loss of hearing.
Yeah.
And after the son's father found out that the child was put into care, he commits suicide.
Yeah, that's really sad. I mean, it happens. Hey, that's one of the...
Her story is on papa.com, I think she told me too, papa.com.
You'll find a lot of increase in suicides in both parents as well as...
Located around the Bay. Yeah, I know, exactly.
And you know, it ranges from everything because of the use of medications. People, as soon as children go into care, really the only way that foster parents a lot of the time can cope with them, because they're not their own children, is to medicate them. And those medications can have huge, long-lasting effects on the child, their mental abilities.
Oh yeah, especially if you're misdiagnosed. And then you're getting prescribed Ritalin or Risperidol or lithium,
Like,
Ativan.
take my daughter. She has oppositional defiance disorder and a slower processing speed, both of which she gets from her father. Her father is ADHD as well. She is not, but he is. And, you know, when he was a kid, they just stuck him on Prozac and Ritalin and whatever else, and he never learned how to cope with his issues. Now, she's 10 years old, and she's doing fantastic as far as where she's come from grade-wise. You know, we brought her from a grade 1 level.
That's awesome.
In grade 3, she was at a grade 1 level in reading and writing.
Great stuff.
Grade 5, now she's in grade 5. She's at a grade 5, 64 to 65% level as an average grade 5 student. From being a grade 3 student who couldn't read grade 1 and write grade 1. Right? And so the amount of work that I put into her has been amazing. She's had no drugs. I've never put her on medication. You know, the school had made a suggestion that maybe I should, or at least I should consult a pediatrician to see if
She's doing fine, then why?
What's that?
If she's already doing fine, then why?
Well, because they thought she might do better. And you know,
Nobody's perfect.
well, to me, I can't ask for more. She's doing fantastic. Like,
I don't really believe in these medications that a lot of us get prescribed, especially for when it comes down to mental disorders. Pain medications, yeah, I could see significance, but a lot of these people I've seen take medications for mental disabilities, and I've seen it make them worse.
Yeah, sometimes, yes, it does, and that's...
Physical twitching, gnawing of the tongue, and like I've seen people chew on it so bad that it cuts.
They're in the experimental stages with these drugs. They haven't confirmed that these drugs are safe or unsafe. A lot of the time, the FDA approves a drug for a child and says that that's okay for a child to take it, but then 10 years after kids have been taking it for 10 years, they go, oh, by the way, you'll see those commercials on TV that say, if you have suffered from this, and this while taking this drug, contact this lawyer. Well, that's because a lot of the times those drugs have those effects on people, and they don't find out that was the cause of it until many years later in research after mass trials have been conducted. Basically, those trials are being conducted on our children as well as our parents, because those parents are sometimes forced to go on psychological medications to get their children back, or the argument is made that because they're on these psychological medications that they shouldn't be able to have their children. But, in the end, we don't really know what the benefits out of all of these are and how the risks outweigh the benefits, or if they do at all. And that's half the problem. And these children, like my daughter, I told them, of course, I'll look into it. I'm always willing to look into something that might better my child's life.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I don't need to stick her on medication and know that what we're doing is helping her. She's gaining. Academically, she's doing far better than she was ever before. And any teacher that can accuse me of not being an involved parent, screw them.
You know what's helping her?
I make my daughter do a lot of homework, and I help her with that homework. I don't just expect it to be done magically. I sit down and I spend hours with her on her homework sometimes. And you know what? She works extremely hard to get to the level that she's at, and I'm so proud of her. And I've had these last teachers that she's had tell me, we are so proud of the work that you're doing, and we thank you so much because we see that it's working. Thanks for doing it and taking the time, and you're one of the most proactive parents we've ever seen. So if they're going to turn around and say, child service is going to say that because my child is developmentally delayed that I shouldn't have her, and I'm not, and that if I don't want to put her on medication, that I'm not acting in her best, interest, that's not fair.
How old is your daughter?
She's 10.
Oh, okay. That's nice. I'm almost out of time on my side. I just want to ask you a quick, blank question, and I want everybody to hear your answer.
Okay.
Do you think Calgary's family courts are rigged?
Yeah, I believe that there are a lot of things going on behind the scenes that people are unaware of, and that only within that community that those people know that those things are going on. I'm not educated enough in that field to tell you exactly what it is.
But your natural instincts tell you.
But I will tell you that I do believe that there are people who are not acting in the best interest of their clients, the children, the parents.
The lawyers are effortless.
Not doing the job that they are being hired to do, and I believe that there are some cases where there are lawyers that really just don't give a shit. It's a paycheck for them, and somehow there's other offers on the table. They might be willing to do things that are unscrupulous to get those positions.
What do you got to say in regards to Casey's case? Do you have any wise words to tell her? Any heed warnings?
Well, she's really close to her. She's already in trial, so
Do you think she's going to get her kid back?
I hope to God. I really do. I can't say whether or not I think so or I don't think, because I haven't reviewed the individual, I haven't reviewed any of her actual paperwork. And that's one of the things that I would generally, base that determination off, is what is the concerns and what are the things. Now, from what she's telling me, if they're not requesting her to do anything further than what they've already requested, I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be giving that child back. But she, like every other parent especially in Calgary, but this isn't exclusive to Calgary, as you know, she's just as much a risk of losing that child just because of having, a lawyer that doesn't want to work for her, or whether it's because maybe the judge has a liking for CPS or a bias towards.
They all know each other. They all make a profit off of the children who get sold like cows and to slaughtering foster families worldwide.
On every level of every organization and institution, there is always a bad apple in the bunch. And
there doesn't always have to be, though.
And well, unfortunately, in the child welfare system, and I'm not just talking about the workers, but the lawyers, the judges, the whatever, you're going to find a lot more of them. They're in an absolutely awful field that, is just full of hate and distaste and distrust.
Then it's time to start filtering these people out.
Absolutely. No,
and that's what we're going to start working on.
Investigations done towards every single case that everything should be looked at. Judges' statistics should be looked at more carefully. How many judges are granting children back? What's their percentage of getting the kids back to their natural parents versus what's their percentage of getting them, giving them over to CPS?
I want some of these. I want to work towards getting a lot of these old cases reopened and some of these children reunited with their biological families who should not have been taken at all.
Yeah.
So listen up, foster families. You may lose the kid that you've had for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, who you just mentally convinced is your child, and guess what? It may not be staying with you.
Yep, that's absolutely right. I mean, it's hard to say to a parent, don't get attached to your kid, but if you're not rich, and, you don't have some sort of, name-dropping ability, then you stand to lose your chances of losing your children. I'm not wealthy. I'm not rich.
And that's why, because you don't have any types of family ties and stuff like that. Connections, you're not known, your last name isn't recognized as well as like an Anderson or Judge Joe Smith or...
Yeah. Well, we need to band together. We need to get, these sites up here, or at least you need to be going to the report lawyer sites, the sites that you can name the lawyers and the workers in your cases that, and if you go to CanadaCourtWatch.com as well as the Foster Care Council of Canada, you can find the links and the resources to find judges or to report judges or lawyers for, whatever it is, even workers. You can specifically name them, put them in. There's another great address, and I will send the information to you, John.
Please do.
There's, I can't remember the name of the one site, but it is a very, very important site. You can actually put in all the workers. You can put in anybody's name you want, and any information on where they work, what they do. Everything's available.
Well, same thing with that's good. That's what I want. And same thing with me. I want names. I want everything.
If some names.
And then you know what? You know what makes this legal? Because think. You know what Angie's List is?
Yeah.
You can call Angie's List. You can complain about a business or a specific person in that business, and other people can look up that.
It's really good to.
So I'm kind of just like the Angie's List of our world government.
It's really good to go to the sites that specifically are related to Canadian child welfare or the law society or those types of things, because you can go and look and see before you even hire your lawyer whether or not this person has screwed over another person. But the only problem to that is that not all the names are there of people who've actually screwed over their clients, because other people haven't spoken up about it. The only way that these names get on there is if you speak up about it. You can remain anonymous. Just put your little blurb about whatever your lawyer did wrong, or
that'll make lawyers start working extra hard for you. I tell you, because once people have a resource site like that where they can go and they can search to see if this lawyer's a piece of shit or not, man, they're gonna start working because they're gonna want to get their name in a good spot on that site.
Yeah.
So they'll be bending over to kiss your ass.
Unfortunately, there is on the one site that I remember reading, and I can't remember what the name of it is right now, but I will email it to you. You could go to the reviews on whatever lawyer. However, there was a section that said that if you were a lawyer or a social worker or whatever that had your name on there and you felt it was wrongfully put in there, you could request that it be removed if you could substantiate that this claim was false. So, there is protection for them there. They can be able to be protected against false claims. However, parents can't be protected against false claims, but child welfare workers and lawyers can be. But you don't have to provide evidence yourself. You just need to tell them what happened and why this lawyer or this social worker is not fair or whoever. You name names.
Politicians, I'm going at this and protecting the families.
Oh, that's what we need to do. So, I mean, really,
So what do you think? Do you think everybody should follow in my footsteps and start recording videos in their home with their interactions with their workers?
I tell everybody you can go and get a $10 a dictaphone, which is only audio, at any Sellers or Walmart or anything like that. You can get it at Radio Shack.
Staples, Office Depot, Future Shop.
Things you can get them for $10. I found a video recorder. It's not an extremely high quality, but it really doesn't matter. It costs $30 at the Superstore in Calgary. And if you grab a couple of those, you got child services in your house. It's small enough. It can fit in your purse. You have the right to tape in your house anyway. But I would say to always have one sitting in the main area of your home. At least have a couple around the house. If they come, you turn them on. If they tell you not to, too bad.
This lady in that video was so stupid. It was actually a laptop sitting there wide open.
And that's what I realized that when you're.
But I covered up the little green light.
That she had no clue that it was just the laptop sitting there filming away, and she had no idea.
And she's like, "But Darcy, I think I've got lots of bad information about Johnny."
No, and that's if people have laptops, that would be an awesome thing. But a lot of low-income families don't have a laptop or that ability to do just recording devices in general.
Yeah.
They have that Barbie doll out there now. It records a half an hour worth of video and audio, and it's
I think that's kind of wrong though for kids, but I think it's good for adults. But for kids, I don't know. That's kind of eerie.
That's one of the easiest things to hide. You have a Barbie doll in your house. Nobody's really even gonna think twice about a Barbie doll.
See, to me, that just gave me another. That's like the pervert's perfect toy. Because to me, that's why I don't like it. Because a pervert can go hide it somewhere in a kid's room, and then the kid changes and shit.
True, but
that's why I don't like it. I want that fucking toy banned. Really, I just don't like that. I don't like that Barbie doll with the camera at all.
For the protection of parents, if you happen to have a kid that has one of those, or you happen to have a daughter, you can always have it and use it to record them. Because I bought my daughter one. She wanted one so bad. She's 10 years old. She's not allowed to leave the house with any of her toys, so I'm not too concerned about it. But it's perfect in her room, because if they end up going into her room or taking her aside, she knows how to turn it on. She knows how to record what's going on there.
I just know that if this doll takes off, a lot of people that start walking into kids' bedrooms or anywhere in their house and they see a doll, they're going to feel kind of uneasy. Oh, there's one of those Barbie dolls. Is it one of those recording dolls?
Yep.
I got an itchy nose. Should I reach in and scratch it, or?
There are pens, there are watches, there are clocks, there are everything under the sun. You can buy your own little mini.
Oh yeah, you can go to spy stores. I used to live by the people that own a Spy City in Calgary.
Yep, they have.
They live in the Southwest. They actually have that red limousine.
Yep, yeah, it's the red limousine. Yep,
Yeah. I used to live just a block away from them.
Yeah. So there's that sort of thing that parents can do to protect themselves, and I would honestly say that that's probably your biggest lifesaver will be to record these people. I'm talking about go to their meetings, put those tape recorders in your purse. You don't need their faces. You just need the words that come out of their mouth. And
exactly.
That might save your family from absolute catastrophe. Now, they will threaten you to take away your visits if you ask to videotape. So there's really no point to ask because you're just going to lose your visits if you do.
Why? It's just a simple question, though. If you record yourself asking them that question and them saying, no, we're taking away your visits, you've got that recording to shove up their ass.
Have that recorded, yes. But most of the time, people will not turn the recorder on.
That's what I'm trying to tell them, though. Do what I did, because I recorded everything. Every time I even was in a room with them, I had it rolling.
Because you were smart enough to do so, but some people are scared, you know. You were a very brave guy to do what you did. And most of the time, people...
And at the time of doing it, too, I wanted to do this for the future further benefit of other families.
You know, so
I got one more for you while I'm still recording. Do you think that I'm doing a good job, and do you think that I'm going to make any changes?
I think you're absolutely doing a wonderful job. I think that, you know, there needs to be more people like us that are out there saying their stuff and you know, speaking up and saying what's gone on in this, you know, system and how it needs to be changed. And I really hope to God that we can make a change because, you know, people have to take action.
We can because the people just have to understand it's very easy. There's more people than there are of them, so we can do this.
Yep, absolutely. We just need a lot of people to be able to band together and have the courage to, you know, to step up and you know, get evidence and take pictures. And, you know, if they tell you can't take a picture of your child because and the bruises on your child, you tell them where to shove it.
Tell them you want to see where it states that in their policy manual.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I did, and they couldn't provide it, and then they had to let me do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Well, they'll manage to turn anything around on you. It doesn't matter if your great-great-great-grandmother was a hooker. You're still going to be considered, you know, the great-great-great-granddaughter of a hooker. So every little thing is going to be used against you, so you might as well record every little bit of it.
That's right.
They're going to try to make you look as bad as possible, and if they try to withhold your visits and all that sort of stuff, you know, those are the types of instances where you need to be documenting it, because nobody truly understands what goes on behind these doors and how parents are treated unless they've been there. And I have been there, and I have seen the way parents are treated, so I will stand up for them. And I have friends who were in care who said that, you know, being in care saved their life. And those are the types of stories that I like to hear.
But they're so hard to find, even when you dig for those, they're so hard to find.
Well, they are, but I mean, I have a couple of friends who said, you know what, foster care saved my life, and I got adopted to a great family, or, you know, I lived with the same foster family for, you know, many years, and my life is good now. And I hear that a few times. I don't hear it more often than I hear the other, but I do hear it once in a while. That's all I really want to hear. I don't want to hear anything else. I don't want to hear that, you know what, this worker is taking my visits away because she says that my kid has eczema. So what? If your kid has eczema, you're going to need to deal with that if your kid comes back into your care. So why not have a specialist, you know, a health practitioner like a nurse come in from the Calgary
And assess.
Come into your home and tell you how to deal with the eczema and what to do with it. Instead of going, well, we're going to take your visits out of your home. You know, you can't do that. You need to support these parents, support the unity of a family and the sanctity of a family. That's the only way that we're going to have good, productive citizens in the future. Children need a good, solid foundation, and like we said before, Child Services doesn't even believe in their own words to be able to take care of future children, you know, and future generations, yet, you know, they're the ones taking ours away, saying that we can't raise a child properly. They don't trust the children that they take and the quality of care that they receive either. So, you know, why don't we just fix the system?
Exactly.
Why don't we just get it changed so that it works for everybody, and that we don't have a worker being able to tell you that you have to leave your spouse, in order to keep your child, or a worker telling you that you have to comply to a home inspection in order to keep your child. No worker should be able to walk in your home and then go and tell a judge that she saw A, B, and C without providing evidence to that judge.
These people, the child protection and this, it's just, I swear, these people, they're all alike, and their favorite pastime must be just playing with a freaking Ouija board or some shit.
Yeah, and let's look at it in the perspective from an actual court of law. You know, we have to have evidence that somebody actually committed a crime before we can convict them of that crime.
If I'm getting enough calls stating that there's like, and then they're listed off names that there's these problems, judges, lawyers, because that's already what's happening, and I never expected this to happen. Wouldn't that be considered some type of evidence to get something rolling?
Well, you would think, but it doesn't seem to be that way. We have to do what it takes to get them exposed. It's exposure, but you have to catch them in the act, or we are not going to get anywhere with this. We need to show the public and the people who are ignorant, and I'm not necessarily saying willfully ignorant, the people who just don't have an idea. They're not educated in this area. They've never seen CPS do anything wrong. We need to show those people that they have done things wrong and say, this is where we need to change the system. We're not out to destroy it, we're out to change it. We're out to improve it, we're out to help these families and these children stay together whenever possible, because that is what is in the best interest of the child.